All right, welcome back to our Meet the Team series. It's an honor to be joined by Emily Riso, one of our therapists. Emily, thanks for joining.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Sure. So you had an interesting journey into behavioral health. I know, relatively new-ish, and you did stuff that was completely different prior. Maybe tell me a little bit about what led you to behavioral health.
Yeah, so I was actually around behavioral health a lot when I was younger. I was tech in a treatment center when in my early 20s, but my career focus was very different. I was going to school to get my doctorate in history. I wanted to be in academia and be a professor. And a little bit into that program, I loved what I was studying. I loved the actual work of it, but I realized that I wanted to do something a little bit more tangible and making a difference. I was studying the illicit drug trade from a kind of a macro level. And at the same time, I was working on the ground with addicts and alcoholics in treatment. And I realized that that is actually where my passion lied. And so I wound up leaving the PhD program with my master's and entering another master's program for social work. And so now I'm working as a therapist here, and I'm more on the ground doing one-on-one work with people, and I feel like that was the best shift for me.
Awesome. I didn't know this said drug trade. I guess that's less practical, unless you were like a drug mule or something, less practical than being on the other side, which is the legitimate drug recovery side of the equation. So very cool. So can you just talk about what is your role here and why is it important?
So I am a therapist here. It's important because I have a caseload of clients, and I am their go-to person when they need to talk about anything that comes up, right? So if they're having a crisis, if they're really anxious, if they're really depressed, they come to me. If they need something, they come to me, and I can help them process it. We have weekly sessions where we kind of delve into their past and into their diagnoses, and I treatment plan for them. So I, work on what they need to do to be able to learn the coping tools necessary to step back out into society and, continue to grow and function as a productive member of society.
Yeah. So you're sort of the quarterback of the process through treatment. And, one of the things that we value a lot is the balance of EQ and IQ. And I think that's one thing that you really bring to the table where, obviously you're intelligent, you're smart, the technicals of being a therapist, but also to be able to navigate and use sort of street smarts with a given case is extremely, if not more important in some ways. And so I think you really embody that criteria that is important for us when we look for therapists. What do you like about working here?
A couple things. I really like that Sylvia Brafman is different in that it focuses on a wide variety of diagnoses. A lot of treatment centers, in my prior experience at treatment centers, it was focused mostly on addiction. And with Sylvia Brafman, the scope is way broader of who we can help. And I think that makes it very special and unique. And I also enjoy working with families. The families are an integral part of the recovery process, and they're kept in the loop throughout treatment, which is important because nobody can recover and get better in a vacuum.
Yeah. And I think that was aligned with the intention that Ben and I had, which was there is a drug rehab on every corner, especially in South Florida. And there's a lot of folks that don't necessarily consider themselves or aren't true addicts or alcoholics, but that they're struggling with a number of different diagnoses, anxiety, depression, etc. And so to be set up and equipped to tackle that with a not a one size fits all approach, I think has really enabled us to help a lot more people. And then, you're right. The family component is critical. It's sort of like a non-negotiable for us that the family, to whatever extent they're available and around, is part of the process. So, really grateful to have you on today. Thank you for joining. And, thank you.
Thank you for having me.